Hello, Leo. It is Rebecca Empathic Crow. You were first for the mid-July readings. You are the last reading that I have for the August 2025 readings, but definitely not least, especially since this is your season. And the Lionsgate portal is tomorrow, 8/8, the 8th of August. So what we've been focusing on for these readings is that manifestation that people focus on for Lionsgate, but not through the lens of, I want this, and so I say it and I manifest it. But really being able to balance those solar plexus and sacral chakras so that you release those anxieties, you're more confident in what it is that you want, and you're able to step into that passion, what your sign represents, that confidence, that strength, that passion, that ability to know that you can succeed. I did put out a Reiki video. I think I titled it August Reiki for the Flock because that's what it is on my website, www.empathiccrow1111.com. I do a monthly Reiki video for those who subscribe to my webpage. So I posted one publicly so you could see kind of what it was. I don't know why the camera light keeps dimming and coming back up. I'm not sure. Shouldn't be a battery thing, but maybe it is. It's not the ring light. But sometimes when that happens, it happens right at a moment where there's something that you need to hear. Not saying that was what you needed to hear though. All right, let's move forward. I forget to say sometimes, please like, share, and subscribe. I have said in some of the other videos, I forget to do that because my focus is not so much how many people are liking my video, how many people are following me, things like that, because that's not my point. That's not my purpose. My purpose is for whoever needs to get the message that they receive it. So I have to focus on that and say this because in order for more people to get the message, more people have to see it. More people have to like, follow, share, and subscribe. Definitely, though, please do that. And also feel 222 on the clock. Feel free to comment because I absolutely love, I know I've said this in almost every video, at least, if not every video, getting those comments and hearing people's stories or how something resonated with them, a memory that it created for them, or even if it's just something that they needed to hear in that moment. I absolutely love that. It makes my heart happy. Woo, Leo, you are coming out of the gate with the 5 of Swords. So something's been brutal. This may be in the past, or this may be the recent past. I'm not sure which it is for you, Leo. You will know that. But the battle is done. You know, you're collecting up a couple of swords, but the others are flying away. So whatever this battle was with, work, family, love, whatever it is, it's time to step aside, to lay down those swords, do some of that healing that you need to do from that. Oh, we have some casualties. There's a crow back here. There's some feathers underneath you. So there are some things that you may have felt like you lost from this situation. Let's get some clarity on this. I'm going to ground because just like in Cancer's video right before yours, I just jumped right out of the gate and I feel like I keep saying that phrase and it's not something I usually say. And then there's the Lionsgate portal. So there's something there where there's like this feeling of wanting to move forward, but sometimes we have to slow down and ground, which was another message for Cancer. And I think also Gemini. So let's slow down and ground, Leo. I'm going to take in a deep breath, call in my big 4. You can do whatever helps to ground you and call in whatever your divine guides or higher self, whatever is for you. All right. So just making sure that you're releasing the energy and allowing yourself to just feel more heavy, not in a depressed way, but in that weighted blanket way. God, angels, guides, and ancestors. 444 on the clock. What does Leo need to focus on around this 5 of Swords energy? Definitely feeling a little more grounded than I did when I started this. that Five of Swords. Oh, and it was 5 on the clock when I said that. It just felt so heavy. And then the next card that flew out is the Hanged Man. And that's funny because Gemini, Cancer, and now you, the last 3 readings that I had to record, you're all getting the Hanged Man. And so there is a perspective change that needs to happen, because this, like I said, and as I hold it, I can feel it in my head, like it's a pressure. And even I am feeling that down, like I even see my eyes have turned down. That is more of that just grief, not necessarily even a full depression, could be, but just kind of grief, loss. Yeah, losing something is what I'm hearing. So we have to understand that it felt like it rocked your world. And there are a lot of things that may have changed or may be changing, but you can still build that foundation and security. You can still build yourself back up from it. We've got the blossoms up here. Like I said, this is a really heavy energy, Leo. The blossoms up here that say there is a new beginning coming. There is, but you've got to turn the perspective around. It's getting out of this feeling that you're still walking in the battlefield, still taking in the casualties, all the things that you lost. That sense of loss is just, oops, I put my hand over the microphone. Sorry if that made a huge noise. That sense of loss is just so heavy. And as I look up, I've got an affirmation up on my the top of my desk. It has a shelf. And there's a rainbow and then the sun coming up behind the mountains. And so I feel like that's a good focus for you, because things are going to change. You know, in order to get the rainbow, you have to have some kind of water. Usually that's going to be rain, but there has to be some kind of precipitation that is creating that rainbow effect. And so, and the sun is what creates that. And Leo, the sun is one of your symbols. And August and the lion. Wow. Gemini, we had kind of a energy, which makes sense. Cancer, it was just kind of like needing to rein in those emotions some. But Leo, yours just like, I just feel really heavy. So you got to get out of that Hanged Man position. There are a couple of other, several cards that came out. All right. So with the 7 of Pentacles, and this card came out in at least 1 or 2 of the other 3 readings that I'm doing today. Gemini and Cancer. Leo, the 7 of Pentacles, like you built up the things that you had. You worked for them. You're still trying to work for things. And I haven't seen this aspect before when I'm looking at the card, but as I look right here, this almost feels like it's feeling like you're on the edge of a cliff. Like one move, because of what happened, one move, and I could just lose it all. I've already lost enough. One more move and I could just lose it all. And it's recognizing that you're not going to lose it all. This pink is something that I mentioned in one of the other 2 readings, whichever one it came out in, and how very needing to be heart chakra focused. Right now, your heart, whatever this was, work, relationship, whatever, life situation, wow, Leo, it has knocked you for a loop, but it's bringing in that heart chakra and healing that heart. Let's look at some other cards. This just feels so heavy. Oh yeah. Leo, you got the 9 of Wands. That sun is still there, but it's hidden behind the clouds a little bit. And when we look at the 9 of Wands, like if you think of the 10 of Wands, it's this person, or in my crow deck, the crow carrying this bundle of wands, like it's this heavy burden. The Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the person's just holding them in their arms, hunched over from the weight, carrying the wands. And so the 9 means this is coming to an end. You've got the sun coming out from behind the clouds. The sun is coming through. This new beginning is coming through. But right now it's still heavy and it still feels like you're carrying the burden and picking up the pieces. Like it's still seeing this imagery from the Five of Swords. You're still picking up the pieces of whatever has happened. I keep seeing these leaves from the plant. Looks like a fern. And I'm not sure why that keeps coming through. But when I think of ferns, I feel like, they grow up and they grow out. Like they don't necessarily have a boundary. They don't just grow to a certain height or something and then they stop. And that feels like the important message in this when it comes to this random fern up here is that you can grow beyond the limits that you think you have. And also the resiliency of many of those hanging plants. Like even think of the peace lily. That's what's coming into my mind, where a peace lily can be on the verge of just completely dying. And then you add some water to it. You don't even have to do a lot of care for it. 11:11 on the clock. You don't even have to do a lot of care for it. But you add some water to it. And the next thing you know, that peace lily is thriving. So with that, Leo, you can turn this around. And it's going to take some work. It's going to take some healing of that heart chakra. Even this is green and pink being heart chakra colors. You can turn it around. And I feel like you have a bit of hope, but it's just, you're feeling so stuck, so down, so like things have just been so difficult and rocked your world, but not necessarily in a good way. It's just the phrase that keeps coming into mind, that this rocked your world. With that Nine of Pentacles, keep in mind that this is coming to an end. It has been heavy, but you don't have to carry that burden with you. So the other card that came out is the Page of Pentacles. So just understand with the Page, you're in a state where things need to turn around. And you're starting to at least think about how you can get out of that. You've got the flowers up here with that new beginning coming in. We've got the red flowers down here, like I was saying, in the Hanged Man position. Like focusing on what are the things that still are your foundation, the things that are still your security, the things that you still have that are going to help you. But looking outside of that to say, okay, so these pentacles, this situation that I'd worked for, that I had built up, it wasn't right. It turned out to not be what I thought it was going to be. It's just not something that I can stay in. Like I said, with that Hanged Man, changing your perspective and saying, so I didn't lose everything. I still have the ability to create and manifest other things that I want. I have to reframe my thoughts. Like I said, changing that perspective around so that you see you're not trapped. And so you're getting there. It's going to take some work, Leo. What else do we need to look at and to think about? There's some mountains in that Page of Pentacles. We got the Ten of Wands that I had just referenced when I was talking about the Nine of Wands. And you see the imagery, that bundle that this crow is carrying, and it's so heavy. And even in this deck, whenever I see this part underneath, it may just be a shadow of the wands, but to me, it kind of looks like not to be morbid, but like a seeing through to a grave where something has been buried. And so in this image right now, and especially because the ribbon around this is orange, that sacral chakra, whatever these wounds, these burdens, these negative thoughts, blame, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it right now, but like that blaming, judgment. Good Lord, I've said that word I don't know how many times recently, and yet I couldn't say it. Whatever judgments, blame, whatever, or feeling like you haven't met your goals, you haven't fulfilled that, whatever it is that makes you feel like yourself, that makes you feel confident, that makes you feel like, I know who I am, I know what I did was right, and not in a narcissistic way, but in a way of, I am comfortable and confident in myself. That confidence has been knocked a bit right now, Leo, but you can get it back. And the 10 is completion. So whatever this was, it's done. And you're going to have to let go of these burdens, of that bundle of things. Whether, like I said, I feel like there's a lot of negative self-talk, putting yourself down, or even anger at the situation, anger at other people, anger at yourself. There's just these heavy emotions that you have to be able to heal and let go of. You've got to step into that heart chakra energy. Why am I feeling nauseous? Oof. I just feel like this has made you feel. Ow, excuse me. Let me get some coffee. I really need water, but I'm going to get coffee because I'm finishing that up for the morning. Then I go to my water. Like, it's made you feel sick. It's just made you feel like I'm just seeing lethargic, low energy, like just drained, completely drained. How does Leo get out of this energy? God, angels, guides, and ancestors, how does Leo get out of this energy? So we've got the 6 of Swords. You know, we had the 5 of Swords to start with. It's getting away, like I said, letting go of not staying on the battlefield. Battlefield in your mind is what I'm hearing. Letting go of replaying all the things. What could have gone differently? What actually happened? Not replaying all that. You got to let it go. And you are going to be leaving some things behind. But you got to put those swords down. You don't have to stand on guard because that's holding on to the past. Put the swords down. Fly away. You got to make that change, turn to do something different, that perspective turn. And notice that there's all this water that's swirling. Like, there are going to be a lot of emotions that you're dealing with. This is where I said we need that heart chakra healing. And it's going to feel difficult. You may even feel like I'm feeling like the wind resistance. It may feel like there's a resistance because part of you may be pulling back or may have those doubts about doing this again, which makes sense with the with the moon. The 8 of Cups is the image coming into my mind. It does have the moon in it as well, which shows some of those anxieties, things that may have been hidden, things that you didn't see coming, or even focusing on illuminating those shadows. And as I say that, that's what we're looking at. In order to move forward, there are, again, these flowers up here, these spring blossoms, that new beginning's coming, but you got to let go of that past. You have to. But with this, the crow's shadow is taking over part of the moon. But even with the crow's shadow being on here, the moon still comes through. Even with the clouds, the moon still comes through and illuminates. But right now, holding on to these negative self-talk, negative thoughts, worries, and doubts, it's like you're trapped in a cage, a fish out of water, unable to breathe. All this doom and gloom with the mountains and like the shadows in the background. You got to release those things. Let it go. And notice too that this crow right here, their head's up. But where I'm seeing kind of like that reversed shadow on the moon, whatever it is, the head is down. And that's fully the energy that I feel right now. Like, that's the shadow. That's where you have to get out of it and to break free from that cage, to get yourself to where you're feeling like you're not just a fish out of water. You are back to your confidence. You have to embrace it. See that change, not just the cage, not just the things that have pulled you down or made you feel like you were held back. What else, Spirit? Is there anything else from the tarot that would be helpful? We're definitely, I have with each deck, but we're definitely pulling an inner child oracle card. Just seeing if there's anything else from the tarot before we move on to that. One more shuffle. All right. The 3 of Pentacles. So with that red and those cherries, again, seeing that grounding, there are the flowers, the spring blossoms at the top. With the Three of Pentacles, you're creating a new, or you will be creating a new foundation, creating that new stability. Notice the rocks here underneath, like that balance, creating new stability. You're turning your thoughts around, and it may feel like, especially going back to a 3, that you're rebuilding, but don't think of it as starting from scratch. You're not. You've got that foundation. You still have some of that abundance. It's more that you're using your resources, letting go of all the heavy crap, the things that didn't work out, using your resources and your intuition to be able to build and gather the things that you need for your new beginning, for this time that you're going to be stepping into something different. But at the same time, like I said, stepping into something that brings in that feeling of passion, confidence, and creating joy in the life that you love. Anything else, Spirit, from the tarot deck? 21:11 on the clock. Leo, I think you're going to be one of my longer reads for this month as well. We've got the Two of Wands that decided to jump out. You've got options. You've got choices. And notice we've got the dark on this side and the light on this side. You've got the World at the top of the wands. You have, again, the flowers with the new beginning. There's 2 crows here. So you may even need to connect with somebody that can help you sort through, what do I do now? What are the possibilities? What do I even want? Sometimes family and friends can be helpful. Sometimes they are so invested or they have their own ideas that it can be a little overwhelming or frustrating, or you feel judged. So understand that can also be a counselor, a spiritual guide, a coach, whatever it is. Or if you have a trusted friend who's pretty even most of the time. You don't have to do this on your own, but we do have to shift from that darkness to the light. It's about finding a balance. You can't completely let go of one versus the other. Sometimes we have to go through the difficulties to get into situations that actually bring what we want. 22:22 on the clock. So Leo, what do you want? You got to deal with these emotions and heal them, that water being those emotions. But what is it that you want? Anything else from the tarot? I feel like the message is pretty clear, and you will be able to create that new beginning. You will get to what you want. What is that focus? What is it that Leo has to look forward to if they're able to turn things around, which you are able? It's just, what choices do you make that lead you there? All right, we're going to go ahead and turn over to the Inner Child Oracle. So let me get this in a place that it's not going to fall over. This is I'll show you the box, Inner Child Oracle, Amanda Lynn Aisling. Yes. Whew. Leo. Heavy energy here. But like I said, you can turn this around. It's just being able to let go of some things. And it hurt. And it's hard to let go of those hurts. It's hard to release it. It's hard to feel confident when, like I said, that 5 of Swords starting out with, it just feels like a battle. And even in the card, like the battle scene, the fatalities, the things that you've lost, the difficulty, the darkness, all of that. And that is such a heavy energy. And this is where I say you may need to get somebody to help you through this. And there's no shame in that. But it's time to heal, Leo. And this could even be something that's not recent. It's from the past, but it's resurfacing for some reason. Maybe this is even PTSD. Maybe you've been in the military and you have some of that trauma that it's really hard to focus on and allow yourself to heal, because especially if you've been in the military, or even for some of my males that I work with, and females, but especially the males, it's pushing those emotions down. I understand. I don't like crying. I will cry as I've gotten older. It just happens more. Crying can be very freeing, but I'm from the generation of, you want something to cry about, I give you something to cry about, and you learn, okay, it's not okay to cry. I'm telling you, Leo, and anyone else who may be watching this, it is okay to cry. It gives me a headache. It makes me feel bad physically, but emotionally, it is a release. The first card that you've gotten is 22, let it come forth. Give yourself permission to feel it. And that's exactly what we were talking about, those emotions. I will tell you this, working with people with PTSD and having experienced it myself. If you're just telling your story like it's a story, like you're reading from a book or you're just telling about something that happened in the past, you're not allowing yourself to go into the emotions and feel it 25 on the clock, because that is difficult to do. You are not healing it. You have to feel these emotions in order to heal them. Feel them and release them. That could even be the wands, that 9 of wands, all those traumas and emotions that you've just held on to because you pushed them down, hoping that if you pushed them down long enough and you pretended everything was okay, it would go away. It doesn't. You've got to heal that. You've got to let it come forth and let it go. Let it go, Leo. Anything else from the Inner Child Healing deck? And then we'll get a card from the Secrets of the Ancestors deck by Abiola Abrams. All right. That may be the main message from the inner child. The inner child telling you, let this, I'm going to say shit. I don't know. I don't know what could get me banned or whatever. If you feel like you're offended by that, please let me know before you report me. But let that shit go. I love this card. It's one of my favorites from this deck, and it just came up in one of the readings right before this. 25, listen, your inner child has something to say. Leo, your inner child has something to say. You need to listen to it, because some of these things that have been triggered in the past and are being re-triggered, they're not just from whatever that event was, because those beliefs, limiting beliefs, those negative self-thoughts, those thoughts of expectations from ourselves or others, all of those come forward as a child. We create those beliefs based on our situations, our observations. Sometimes it's defense mechanisms that we create from that child brain. And we have to learn to move through that, express those emotions, and find alternative ways to cope and to deal with things, and to really understand that it's okay. All right. So what do the ancestors have to say for you? What is the message from our Secrets of the Ancestors? Leo, I know I still feel it. There's a pressure like all across my forehead right now. This is a heavy energy. And like I said, this feels like something from the past is like the basis, but something more recent has just triggered a lot of emotions of insecurity, that difficulty with self-worth. Like as I'm talking about it, I'm just feeling the heaviness of this. Oh, Leo, you are worthy. And on one hand, you know that. On the other, this has just knocked you for a loop. The card, I haven't had this one come out, and it is so beautiful. 25, Mother of Fire. Understand that in the tarot, in the oracle cards, male, female doesn't matter. We all have divine masculine, divine feminine qualities within us. Mother of Fire, shine and rise. Look at that, Leo. It is time for you to step back into that fiery, passionate energy and rise. And with these eggs and these babies, these children, understanding that that is you birthing a new way forward. You are the co-creator. You are the one who decides what it is that you want to do. And if it feels like you're butting your head against a wall, it's time to turn around and do something different. But you've got that fiery energy. You have that confidence. You have that strength. You have that passion. You have to believe in yourself again. You've got to start living in a way that feels authentic to you. This is definitely the Queen of Wands energy coming through in this card. And when I get the Queen of Wands in the tarot deck, I say she is my ultimate confidence card. You don't want to be like ultimately confident in the way that it's like a cocky, people aren't going to like you because you're just being but in a way that you know who you are, you're confident in what you do, and you live your life unapologetically yourself. 16, which breaks down to a 7, the deviant, chaos, and destruction. So this is the equivalent of the Tower card. And all it's saying is that it feels, and I said that with the water in the 6 of Swords, it feels like emotional chaos. It feels like, I said in the other cards, loss, that you're losing things, that the life or the things that you felt like you wanted were destroyed. But like with the Tower card and the tarot deck, this just means that something had to happen. The boat had to be rocked, or you would have just stayed stuck in what felt like a comfort zone, but wasn't satisfying. It wasn't allowing you to really feel contentment, to really feel like you were living the life that you wanted. So don't let this be something that you look at as losing everything, as that Tower moment. This is you being able to step into this mother of fire energy. And we've got both of those break down to a 7. 7, 7. 7 is a sacred number. All right, your last card here. I love it. 33, which breaks down to a 6. We've got Root of Air, explore. Explore those options. Figure out what it is that brings that fiery, creative, passionate energy back into your life. As long as you're not hurting yourself, other people, potentially hurting yourself, other people, doing something criminal, just explore, have fun, be you. Figure out what it is that you want and that you need. And it may not even be the things that you think it is. So think outside of the box, Leo. You're going to come back into this energy. Like, we're going to end with this being the image that you're looking at. Embrace the change. It's hard. Change is hard. But you've got this. All right, Leo. I hope that this video did not bring you down, but gave you hope. And please like, share, subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment. Let me know if this was something that resonates with you or it's something that you've experienced. And I will see you next month. Take care, Leo. Enjoy your season.